Yeah, Henry, it's pretty cool. That was really fascinating. That's the whole leap year thing. Who knew? Next up, we have Jackie Wilde to talk about the head of the Bay Development Plan. Jackie is Assistant City Manager of the City of Whittier. Do we have Jackie?
Hello, everyone. First, take a big deep breath. Everybody's so relaxed. Let's wake up a little bit. I know you all had lunch, right? Like, so. As she gets this up and going, I'm here to talk a little bit about, and I walk around, so bear with me. Just push me back to the mic if you need to hear me better. I'm here to give you a little bit of an update about the head of the bay. I'm sure most of you have heard about the progress that is happening and the future projects that will be happening at the head of the bay. Next slide, I just have a picture of, oh, there's the clicker. Thank you. So this is the head of the bay from an overview. Everyone knows, you drive right past it as you come into town. This year, we have signed a lease agreement with Hunatotum, as well as with the Alaska Railroad to do development at the head of the bay. Our goal is to work in phases, and as anybody that's here in the building right now, you can see these slides up on the wall. Our goal right now is to work on the cruise ship port, the terminal, and the parking area, and then phases 2 on, which we don't know how many phases it will be, but our goal is to break it up into phases. Possibility of adding a new harbor, new launch ramps, salmon viewing facilities, auditorium, a new museum, hopefully, or cultural center. Those all come with planning, and I'm basically new to the city, so I've been here since September. I'm a really hard push for planning, how we can make sure to take care of what we need to in Whittier now, as well as in the future, 50 plus years. So Huna did a really great presentation to us as the city and has given us a breakdown of how we could look at seeing the head of the bay be produced. Everything in red would be done by Hunatotum, and that is in phase 1 project. And then we have the city of Whittier phases that we would like to work on, which would be a seawall, waterfront park, and ramp and boat parking. That's in the blue areas. And then working with the Native Corps partners, doing a cultural center and possibly an amphitheater would be really great. And then the private partnerships, it's even been suggested and hoped that maybe we would do a gondola at some point in time. That's years down the road. The first phase of the project, which is everything that you see in red on this slide, is hopefully done and complete by 2025. That's when Norwegian Cruise Lines is hoping to bring in their first ships. This is just a general possible look of what the harbor would look like. It would have a boardwalk, it would have a new seawall, and would be able to house many more boats, as well as the launch ramp itself. The project in the planning world, right now it's all zoned industrial. I don't think that that's what the city and its residents want to see. We would like to see conservation center easements out there. We would like to have ability to protect the natural beauty, and working with Hunatotum and Norwegian Cruise Lines, I think that we're all in line when we see that. We don't want to lose the preservation of the Prince William Sound, and this is beautiful. We don't want to lose it, right? And then we've started working on a tourism best management practices. So we're following along the lines of what Juneau has introduced. We've had 3 meetings over the last couple months. Our goal is to have have sort of a hiatus in the summer months, but keep it in your minds. We'll be sending out questionnaires and surveys asking you about what you would like to see for best management. And that means management of Prince William Sound and how the cruise ships and tourism affect it and what you want to see and how you want to see it be protected. Our website has, we've been updating it. We're trying to add as much as possible. We are also adding a link to the Prince William Sound steerships. We would like to just add those links so you have better access to what's happening in city. We have added a projects link and a contact link that gives you the ability to, on the contact, you can ask to be added to any type of our mailing list, whether it be the Head of the Bay projects, anything that's updated with Head of the Bay, giving you the ability to have all of our packets, anything that we do here in Whittier as well as outside Whittier, you could ask for and would make sure to put you on the list. I put on here the TBMP list, which is our tourism best management. All of you in this room have something to say about this, and this is where we need you to sign up, get on our mailing list, and let us ask you the questions so that when we present a draft plan, it protects everybody and it is usable for everyone. And again, this is what it looks like. We've added the Wilderness Best Management Plan and the Tourism Best Management Plan from Juneau. They're really good plans. And if you read through them, you'd be like, yeah, that works for Whittier, or no, that doesn't work for Prince William Sound. Take that out altogether. And that's why we've added these on our website. And our goal is to update this on a monthly basis so that you can always look at it and see where we are. So the draft plan will be put up there. And then as edits are done and taken care of, the goal with it is to introduce it to our Port and Harbor Commission. Our Port and Harbor Commission would have the ability to also take your input and put it into the best practices. We also have the Head of the Bay project. Like I said earlier, everything that we've shown you, we have our presentations on our website, everything that has been given to the citizens, as well as there's the little video clips at the bottom that show our city participation, our community input when we started this project at the Head of the Bay, and even just the thought of trying to move forward with it. And we had really good turnout in November and December. And so those links are also on there. And then I just want to remind everybody, I mean, I'm sure you've all been here for a really long time, probably longer than me, but the vision statement of Whittier is impressive. It's something that I think everybody needs to remember. So I'm just going to read it. Their vision statement is: we are a distinctive community with strong ties to a natural setting, uniquely positioned as a gateway to the wonders of Prince William Sound, and is strategically located for multimodal transportation of people and cargo. Our location drives our economy and provides outstanding recreational opportunities for the residents and its visitors. Our vision for Whittier includes preserving our unspoiled environment while improving amenities for all those who live here and visit. We see Whittier with a full-time access and ample first-rate facilities to attract visitors and improve the quality of life of residents of all ages. We see a beautiful, clean Whittier with a self-sufficient economy and opportunity for local land ownership, homes, and businesses. The picture that I have here is from one of our previous community meetings. This woman's name is Stacy, and she does these amazing drawings, which used to be up here in the office, but we'll put them back up. And it's just gives you, she takes and draws everything from the input of the people that were there at the meeting. And then I just want to leave you with, what is your vision for Whittier? So if you imagine Whittier, where were a year-round community and leveraged its pristine natural environment and strategic location on the Prince William Sound to generate a resilient economy that provided ample first-rate facilities for residents and visitors of all ages, what would your Whittier look like?
Okay, hold on, Jackie. You're not off the hook yet. I've got a few questions for you. Ready? So from William, we have, what does this mean for increased cruise ship traffic for Passage Canal and Prince William Sound?
So the Norwegian Cruise Line is working with Hunetotum. The goal will be a double port. So Norwegian Cruise Lines would like to see Whittier be a home port, a destination village where they come in, they stay, they get out, they enjoy the wilderness and the outside, and you're looking at 1 to 2 cruise ships every port, every dock.
Maybe a follow-up for me is, so it's when you say 2 port, so would accommodate 2 ships?
Yeah, it'd be a 2-berth port.
Great. In addition to the one that exists already.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They wouldn't have 2 cruise ships in at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, very rarely. It'd be a 2-port berth, but it would very rarely you would see multiple of the same ship at the same time.
And they'll balance between Princess and as well as the new stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So for those online, I had a comment from it probably wouldn't be like 3 ships at a time or even 2 ships at a time.
Yeah, I think the most would be you'd have 1 at the Princess dock and 1 at the Norwegian dock. So you possibly could have 2, but I think that talking with them, their goal is with the Holland America and Princess, they get right off their boats and right onto buses, correct? But Norwegian is looking at excursions, the ability to get off, enjoy the, they said it the best, and I love it, the grittiness of Whittier and the beauty of Prince William Sound. They want to induce and see all of that.
All right. Here's from David. The entire head of Passage Canal collapsed into the canal during the '64 earthquake. What are what are people thinking as you consider building something like this in a known hazard area?
And they have a very well-known Alaskan construction company, Turnigan Marine, is working on all of the permitting and all of the design for the first phase portions. And I think, those things are always taken into account and will be taken into account from the beginning when they're doing the permitting clear through to the end.
Here's another one that's related to permitting, I think. What type of NEPA or other public process will occur before or during the cruise ship development? We talked about the BMP, but anything else beyond more than
So all permits and everything that is needed to build the dock, to build or even produce the development at the head of the bay is being handled by Turnigan Marine. And anything that the city is needing to, we will put through them. We've leased the land to Hunetotum, so they are in charge of all of the permits and the needs.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the audience? Oh, we got one back here, and then we'll start right behind you, then come back to the gentleman in the front. So, yep.
With this kind of development, it seems to imply to be a pretty large increase in traffic flow particular and just personal. What would the idea be for handling that with the tunnel? I hear already it's pretty intense in the summer.
So his question was asking about the traffic and the possibility of the increased traffic from the development. Is that correct, or close to? So, and the business it generates in general. So I'm glad you asked that question because the planner in me comes out. I've I will be working over the next couple of years with our planning department as well as the city to initiate a transportation study, which we had 1 year. You guys had one years ago, like 15 years ago. But our goal is to work with the studies that are already being done as we speak. You know, the railroad's got a study going, the DOT has the state has a study going. So instead of having a small community like Whittier pay for those type of study plans, we'll take their plans and then introduce them into our type of plan for transportation. You know, I know that the tunnel is a touchy subject for people. I like to remind individuals that yes, we have a tunnel. Yes, it's the way we come in and we come out, right? But it's no different than if you were to have to commute in the lower 48, right? Sometimes you have to wait a little bit. And sometimes, you know, sometimes other people get priorities. Is it the buses that go through first? Yeah, probably. But it's one of those things that if we just sort of step back and go, okay, you're right. We're so used to it right now, just us getting through and not anybody else, that I think that over the next year, you'll see a really good transportation plan where all the entities are working together to make sure that the visitors, as well as the residents and the businesses, have the opportunity to have input and then be able to provide and change maybe the way that the tunnel is even ran.
Gentleman in front here.
So with basically the development of the marina space and additional vehicles, it seems like maybe a power issue or wastewater treatment or water issue. It seems like you may need to have an area set aside for some developments so that more residents can move in, people that will help with certain applications. Is that some of that been considered as to how they may balloon? And I think this tunnel brings up a good point. I would certainly plan on cutting the other tunnel so it could be, you know, one-way traffic each way. That would probably be a lot nicer. I think probably for someone that swept off the highway a couple of nights ago in my RV, that road's a freeway, cars passing by and boats, you couldn't believe all the oversized boats. They're like everywhere, and it's still early season, right? So some considerations for power, infrastructure, wastewater treatment. What is that in play now? Do you have an extra separation area? Is there wastewater? I don't know how that's handled here.
Right. So his question was regarding wastewater and utilities at the head of the bay. That is, you know, something that's always on everybody's mind too. And again, from the planning world, that they were already addressed when we signed our lease with Huna. You know, we don't have water and wastewater out there. It will be their self-sustained system. As far as electric, we do have our electric utility that is capable of doing those such needs. The planning portion and adding residents or adding infrastructure out there, that's where those phases, you know, I said 2 to however many phases it takes. Our goal will be to hopefully break it up into phases and have the proper planning and zoning for those areas so that we know in the future, okay, this area is going to be for business and we need to have this much for water and wastewater. And, you know, it's a process, planning is, but, and you are not the first that said we need a tunnel that just lets people in one end and goes out the other. But you remember how long it took to build this tunnel?
The gentleman in the back on the right.
Yeah, Jackie, thanks for the presentation. Thanks to the city for hosting this. I think several of us are aware of the penalties we contracted there railroad there for Portland Sewer Highway. And I'm wondering if the city has worked with the railroad on any plans to use that area after the metal was extracted.
So his question was regarding the gravel quarry that's currently happening and being operated by the railroad. We always will work with the railroad. I know that, you know, it's this iffy situation, but as time moves forward, our goal is to work with them. And also the construction company, Turnigan, has also reached out and is working with that quarry in general.
So are there
Well, I would say there's always the want for a plan like that. It's just the direction once, after maybe this year, seeing what direction the railroad is wanting to head and what direction the city's needing to head.
I have another question, Ellen.
Can you repeat that? I couldn't hear you. A truck was going by. I would have to probably get back to you on that question.
Yeah, so the question was, would the BMP effect include affected areas outside of Whittier, outside the end of the bay?
Yeah, the Prince William Sound in general, the best management practices. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So the best management practices, our goal is for it to include all of Prince William Sound, right? That's our hope and need is to have everybody's input because that's what it affects. And it's not just the head of the bay, it's the tourism in general. And I really feel that, it's not going to be a city ran project. This plan, we're helping start it, but our goal is to hopefully hand it off to someone that can run and operate it sort of like the wilderness best management practices. The city doesn't want to implement and have to try to do enforcement. The best management practices, that's the best thing, right? It's volunteer. It's an idea. It's a plan that could help protect our future and Prince William Sound's future, but the city should not be in charge of that implementation. We can help with it, but it should never be in charge of it.
Yeah, Tim?
Sorry if you already answered this before when you were talking about utilities, but when you talk about those gears, is there any discussion about having electrical hookups and solutions that they have on GL so that when a ship is in port, they can go to electric instead of diesel?
That's been talked about multiple times. I don't know the absolute answer and finished project of that or plan of that. I do know that it's one of those things that was brought up at the very beginning of the scope of work. And I think that it's talked about, probably will be continuously talked about when we start to further, research and build out.
Yeah, both companies, both process, Norwegian have committed to going towards electrification at their ports. And I think it's an industry-wide thing that they all want to do it. The problem is there's no standard developed right now. All of those ports have different power systems. So you can imagine pulling up the port and you want to plug in, but they got the wrong kind of plug, right? So, and they'll want to be able to.
Hey, Dave, if you're going to talk for a minute, you want to hop on a mic? They can't hear you online.
And for those online, we're talking about the bit like cruise ships being able to plug in to electricity.
Yeah, I know it's been a big concern of mine as well, and I think it's been brought up several times. I think the cruise ship industry as a whole wants to go that direction, and they realize that pulling into port, that many communities don't want them running their generators in port and increasing the pollution. And so they've committed, and I think as an industry, they've committed on going that direction. They need to come up with a standard, though, so that when they pull into port, that their system is going to match up with the system that's there in port. They can't pull into several different ports up along the coast and have to change their configuration every time. So right now, I think that industry is going through a standardization process where they'll develop, as you can imagine, here, how the United States is different than Europe when you look at the plugs. They're going to work on that, and I think you'll see it develop over a slow period of time, but that is absolutely the way that they want to go. And Chugach here would love to sell power to those cruise ships. So that's not a problem. I think we have the capacity here. One of the problems in Juneau is they really Alaska Electrical down there doesn't have the capacity right now to even power one of those ships, that the lights would dim, as soon as they plug in. So there's a lot of things that have to be developed, and I don't know that it'll happen anytime real soon, but that's definitely the direction that they're heading in. Yeah.
Right. Any other questions? Yeah.
How does a development project on this scale get funded by a city of this size? I don't know about the year's financial setup, but.
So the first phase is not funded by the city. The city's entered into a lease with Hunatotum, and they are funding the full project.
So the city owns the land.
Yes.
The question was, how will this be funded? So, right. Any other questions? I would say the foundation's been very supportive of the BMP. We also have a sort of informal survey online, just a place for people to express their, what they think the benefits or their concerns about the project that we then pass on to the city. So,
Yeah, the more input, the better. Please send in anything you'd like. You can contact it. You can contact me through the website. Any questions, whether big or small, we want them so we can incorporate a really good plan as well as a really good project in the future.
Yeah, we look forward to having a lot of input on this. All right, thanks, Jackie. I guess I'll just stay right here. So we're going to have a little break. At 2:10, we're going to go to concurrent sessions. And so there'll be a virtual one. And if you want to, those people in the room can go into the lobby, and we'll have a TV set up in there that you can watch that. And that'll be on alien invaders. Wow. Cool. I think this must be the youth session. We're talking about aliens. Monitoring and extracting invasive species in Prince William Sound. These are both our youth speakers. And then we'll also have in person Jeff Clark talking about sustainable salmon fisheries for Alaska and the world. So that'll start up at 2:10.